The following is intended for mature audiences only. Discretion is advised.
I remember one time you came early and you were like, we just want to process the birth. Let's just talk about it. What was it like for you? What was it? And in my experience, I had the most joyful, incredible birth. And I tell everyone that's willing to listen, I'll be on the subway and I was like, do you want to talk about my birth story?
Hey everybody, it's Theresa. Welcome to Exaggerated. Let's get into it.
Hi everybody, welcome back to this week's episode of Exaggerated. I'm so glad that you're joining us today. I am so excited for this episode. When I knew I was going to be welcoming guests onto Exaggerated, one of the first people that popped into my mind was the amazing Kat Raynor. She is the person who birthed my daughter.
No.
I know she's going to say
your own daughter.
And I know she's going to say, I'm not a doctor. No. Kat Raynor is a New York City doula. And she is so amazing. She was present for the birth of my daughter. And I think every person should have a doula. We'll get into it. But I wanted to interview Kat and hear all of her amazing thoughts, because aside from just her job, she is one of the most interesting people I have ever met in my entire life. So everybody give a warm, exaggerated welcome to Kat Raynor.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
I was super excited when I got the text. I was tagged, just like, oh my God, I felt like I was going to the Met or something, going to be on Oprah or something. I was like, I was asked to be on a podcast.
I love it. Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you. I'm glad to have you.
You and being around you at any time is just fun and lovely.
And, I love you. Thank you so much.
So that's always fun.
Thanks for being here.
So it was really exciting.
That's
excited
amazing.
to be here.
I love it. I'm so glad you're able to make time. Are you currently taking care of babies?
I am.
Always.
I am.
It.
I'm going to an overnight after this.
I love it.
So,
I love it. So
me too.
Tell
and I'm
us.
on call for a birth too. So.
Oh my God, you're on call for a birth.
Yeah,
I
so
love
if my phone
that.
rings, that would be the only thing that would that I would have to answer for.
Oh my God, that's the most amazing thing. And I would be like, bye. I'd be like, go, can we come? Well, I want to come and I want to hold a leg and watch.
Right, and that's the beautiful thing about being asked by people who I've been the doula for to do other stuff, because they get it. Mm-hmm. They're like, you're like, yep, I get it.
Go. When I went into labor, your doula partner, it was her birthday, and I called and she was like, hey, I'm at my birthday dinner. Kat's gonna go. It's her turn on call. And I was like, yes, all right, great, we're doing it. But it is such an interesting thing. So in a couple of sentences, tell me what a doula is.
Okay. Like textbook, I guess, sentences. It's sort of, we provide physical, emotional, and informational support before, during, and after the birth of your baby. And so basically we have a bunch of meetings at your home. We have a bunch of FaceTimes, phone calls, we texts, just so that we're on the same page about everything. I find out a lot about you and your partner, what your history is like, what you would want your birth to look like, and how I can help you achieve that. And I can't really help anybody achieve any sort of birth exactly.
Of course,
really,
of course.
To back up a little bit, because then I'd be like the most sought out doula ever.
Like she can guarantee.
Exactly, yes. I get that woman. But there is, we provide evidence-based, information, and there is a lot of actual evidence on the presence of a doula now also. And even just the number one thing is reporting a positive experience after.
Sure.
And sort of being able to look back and put all of the pieces together. I'm there, I sort of just take a time. I know what you want, so I can help guide you. I can help you get what you want, help you be comfortable, help you know everything that's going on. And then in hindsight, if anything that we sort of go over, I can help you process the birth. And if there's anything that you question, I'm like, no.
Sure.
We made this decision at this time because we had spoken about this, and this was what we thought was best at the time, and that's why it was made. And that kind of hindsight is priceless.
I love it. I love it.
The support of having a doula there alone is priceless, but it's really, there's a lot. It's really many facets.
It's so many things, totally. Yes. And I think in my personal experience with hiring a doula, I did have a traditional Western medicine doctor. I was going to give birth in a hospital, and that was all well and good. And my initial experience going to those first appointments was, wow, these people are overwhelmed. I had an all-female team of doctors. They're so impressive. It was New York City, absolute top-notch doctors, number 2 NICU in the world, you know, but they are just so overwhelmed. So I think when I started to tell people that I wanted a doula, you know, you get, and I wonder what your experience, I feel like it's more popular now, but I got like one of 2 answers. I either got, oh no, you don't trust your doctor, or I got, oh, you're so crunchy, you're such a hippie. And I was like, oh no, I think it's just like, I needed someone that was the truth. I needed someone that I could say, this is my truth. What Kat tells me, I'm going to call the truth for my scenario and for my setup.
Yes.
And I needed somebody I could ask questions to, knew was going to be the person there.
Yes. And I think that like the people want a doula, I think for different reasons almost also. And so it's like, for me, I have to sort of read the room constantly, know myself, you know, know myself in the space so that, you know, I can sort of help everybody keep their heads together.
Right. You mean like in the hospital room, like know when is the time to advocate and when is the time to like, oh, we're switching things up. Let me step back a sec.
Let me step back a little bit. That type of, you know, there's a lot of, there's a lot of sort of like reading what's going on and what's happening.
You're sort of that in-between person.
Yes, yeah. A lot of people have said, oh my God, you're like a therapist. And,
you are like a therapist,
you know,
but that's a whole nother conversation.
It's sort of like, yes, and it's definitely a vocation.
Oh, 100%.
It's never felt like a job or work to me. I love what I do, and it's definitely a calling and something that...
Well, you're so incredibly good at it.
Thank you.
You really, truly are. It's like a special gift.
Thank you. That's really nice to hear. I feel like I'm at a point where I'm really comfortable and confident enough to say, like, you know, I don't have to sort of explain what a doula is or what anybody needs to do. Like you were saying, like people like, oh, you're so
getting to that point,
you know,
right? You're getting to that point where people, it's becoming like more accepted and more mainstream.
And it's like the people that want a doula are going to know what a doula is
100%.
And they're going to seek out a doula, and if it's me, it's going to be me.
Right.
You know, like
you're not on a soapbox convincing someone.
No,
for sure.
You know, there was a point where it was sort of like, how do I best explain it quickly, or how do I, you know, I have people that are like, she delivers a babies, but
right.
I'm like,
like
no,
I literally was like, you delivered my baby. You're like, no, you did.
No,
like, but
exactly, no, not at all. You know, so there's like, you know, I always used to say, like, just say the word doula. Just saying the word doula is, you know, most likely somebody's gonna hear it and be like, what the heck is a doula?
100%. 100%.
You know, I mean, which is literally how I became a doula.
Yeah.
You know, I was at the birth of my nephew, Emmett, who just turned 21 on February 7th.
God.
I know.
21 years. That's awesome. Oh, well, happy birthday to him.
Exactly. Happy birthday to Emmett. He's amazing.
That's
he
cool.
also won the championship with UConn in this last spring.
Oh my God, amazing.
Whenever it is that they win those things.
Oh, congrats.
Kill me.
I love it.
No, he's an incredible
You witnessed
human.
his birth?
I did. My sister has been a single mother from birth by choice.
Wow. Okay.
And so we went to childbirth education classes together. And funny enough, we got thrown out for laughing.
Oh, yes. That makes a lot of sense.
It does, yeah.
That actually checks out. We know she's telling the truth.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. So her birth, or Emmett's birth, was attended by a lot of women, myself included.
Okay.
Sorry.
You're fine.
And the doctor that delivered Emmett had delivered my son 2 years prior. And at Emmett's birth, there was a lot of women. Myself, my mom, a couple of my sisters, my aunt, and it got like, you know, every birth gets intense.
Sure.
You know, but at the very end, it was sort of like, this baby, you need to push this baby out right now. Like, things got sort of, you know, and I just sort of like looked around the room. I saw a couple of things that I looked at the doctor. I was like, do this, do that, get her out.
You were a doula before you were a doula.
And that's what he told me afterwards.
Wow.
Yes. He was like, you should become a doula. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And he was like, actually, you are. Once you attend a birth, you're a doula.
Oh.
And I was like, all right, well, I have a lot of women in my family. And he was like, no. Other people will hire you. And I was just like, yeah, right. Who? You know?
Right. You're like, how?
Yeah,
what
like
is it? And then, oh my God. And then you're like,
know?
of course. And there's what I learned so quickly was that there was because we have that initial meeting.
Yes.
You know, when you're super pregnant. And I feel like, especially a first pregnancy, you're just like, I don't know what to do. You're just like, you're still the same person. You're just yourself pregnant. And then there's so many, I hope I'm not going to like totally mess up these words, but like, I feel like when you're pregnant, you have the brain of someone who is obviously does not have a child yet, your first pregnancy. So it's that brain that's anxious and scared and asking questions. It's not the post-birth mom brain where you get some of that like, oh, wait, obviously I can do this. I'm made to do this. I just did this. You have that euphoric bliss of baby on your chest and your brain chemistry truly changes.
Yes.
So in those days leading up to the birth, you're just like, how can I do this? Where do I do this? How will I know if I'm doing it correctly? How will I know? There's all of this stuff that you can't control,
yes,
but you try to control by writing out a birth plan.
Yes.
And so I remember meeting with you guys and being like, so this is just a little personal tidbit. My doctor wrote in my chart, patient is very anxious, not erratic. Okay, while I was pregnant, because I am a very anxious person, apparently not erratic in that setting, because I would go to the appointments like almost shaking sometimes with just, because I'm the kind of person that likes to like know what I'm doing, do it well, do it correctly. I really have that like stubborn, hard-headed Aries energy. Yes. Like there's a way things should be. Yes. Let me learn how to do it and then be the best person to ever give birth. And so I would go to these appointments and I would ask all these questions and I wanted to know every test and again, these hospitals, especially in America, we don't even need to get into healthcare, but they're so overwhelmed that they would just come in, like do the swab, poke my arm, pat me on the head, show me the heartbeat and leave. And I would just be like, but I really want to know so much more about how you got to that conclusion. And so that's when I started to kind of seek out a doula. I was like, I just want the information. I just want to have the conversation. I want someone to ask the questions to. And I remember you guys gave us a questionnaire and it was my dream questionnaire because it had every important thing about, you know, the science of your appointments and have you been having a healthy time? Have you been nauseous? But then there also was like, what's your coffee order? What's your bagel order? Yes. Yeah. What is like the nickname you prefer? And that's when the light bulb went off in my head and I said, oh, this gets to be created. You can create the birth and the scenario and you can make it whatever you want it to be.
Yes.
And so just because that person that's the doctor isn't answering the question, it doesn't mean that I can't seek my own answers and then bring those to this event that they do every single day.
Right.
Well, it's my first one.
So beautifully put. I love it.
So like that was kind of like what I needed. And then you guys, like, I mean, it was you and your doula partner that just, I mean, I was like, it's them, obviously. And I remember we got off the Zoom call and you guys were like, yep, so like shop around. And my doctor had given me some doula names because they are supportive of it.
Yes.
And I was like, I don't want to call anybody else. I was like, I just want them to do it. I was like, these are my people. They get what's going on. And yeah,
it was an amazing experience.
It was amazing. And then also the after part. We can talk about say what you're going to say, but we'll talk about the after part after too.
I mean, you can edit it out if you need to. But,
I don't edit anything.
I literally wish every mother could have the type of birth that you had.
Oh my God.
It's like the most joyful birth that I've ever. And I've been to the birth of my grandchildren, which obviously nothing will ever top that. That's just different.
But it's a different thing. Oh my God, thank you so much. Oh, I'm going to cry.
Being there and witnessing that. Literally, when I talk about it, I'm like, if people could have that experience, I want every mother to have that experience.
Oh my God, thank you so much. And I always, literally. That's so meaningful. Yes. I want to take a second to like let that lay on my chest because my daughter is obviously the best thing and more that's ever happened to me. And my birth, of course, every mother's brain chemistry totally changes. I think you just change as a woman. But the birth that I believe you guys gave to me, because none of my doctors of those 5 people were there. So I ended up in this situation where the whole time they told me there's 5 of us. There's 5 of us. You'll have whoever will catch this baby, you'll have met them. They'll know what you want. All good intentions, but nope. Not one of 5, but you were there rubbing my shin, and I will never forget. I will never forget because it's in processing our birth, which is an amazing thing that I didn't even know was a thing. I remember you came over And you did some overnights for us and some postpartum care and stuff, which was, I mean, invaluable. Like, I can't even. Like, it was the greatest thing. The only nights that I actually got a proper full night's sleep was when Kat was doing the overnight, because you just really feel like you can turn off. You're like, oh, they know way more about a baby than I do. Like, so we could actually sleep a little bit.
Shut it off.
And I remember one time you came early and you were like, we just want to like process the birth. Let's just like talk about it. What was it like for you? What was it? And in my experience, I had the most joyful, incredible birth. And I tell everyone that's willing to listen, like, I'll be on the subway and I was like, do you want to talk about my birth story? And they're like, we don't. And they're like, we actually don't. And I was like, oh, cool. Like,
I'm going to do a podcast about doulas.
Does anyone want to talk about birth?
Oh, she's one of those crazy people. Stay away from her.
You're like, does she have a little pan? Is she collecting coins? Is this like a no? So in having that conversation, like, I was lucky that happened. And I think it has to do with who you are as a person, who I am as a person, who my husband is as a person. Like, I think there's so many factors that contribute to the type of birth you have, some that are in your control, some that are of course out of your control. But I think, should I have been on the other side of this experience, and should I have had a traumatic, crazy birth, or, you know, that processing would still need to happen and need to be done. And so many times, especially in postpartum care, we overlook the birthing person, and we just
more
move on.
In that case, actually, because especially if there's like the baby or the mother has any sort of special care. If there's a baby in a NICU, it's like, you know, the focus becomes obviously, you know, saving a baby's life.
Of course.
You know, but there's a really big impact on both both partners that are involved in that.
100%.
Any sort of situation where the baby's in NICU or anything like that. Yeah, especially, I mean, again, like you said, please, we could do 10 episodes about healthcare in this country.
Of course.
But, you know, it's just really like, you're lucky you're married to somebody that wasn't born in America. I really truly feel that. It's just not ever thought about, like, your mental state, 100%. Your mental health. It's just
never even, it's not even acknowledged at all. When you get that 1 6-week appointment, you fill out a literal survey that's like, are you sad? Do you cry a lot? And you're like, I'm 6 weeks postpartum. I haven't stopped crying.
Correct.
And one of my stitches popped out, so my vagina kind of burns.
Yay.
Like, where do I write that? They're like, no extra comments, just circle yes or no, please. That really is what it feels like. And I don't think it's like any one person's fault. I just think it's like such a broken system. And so in processing that and being able to say, you know, and we wrote things down and we like talked about things, and I just think, like, of course our conversation was like joyful and probably pretty short, and like we had a glass of wine, but it's like, it's not always that like sweet, nice conversation. There is the other side of it. And I think that's where doula care can be so important, even arguably more important.
Yes. Yes, which is basically what I was saying before. You know, it's, if every single woman could have the experience that you had, that would be amazing. Yes. But they don't. And when things get really intense, that's really when a doula support 100%
is
really important. Yes.
And just an advocate there to be like, oh, hey, by the way, she's not super into that.
Yes.
And it's like, it's just a person that knows what you want, what you can handle, when you need the extra tough love push, when you need the cuddly, let's step this back.
The baby gloves.
Yes. And there is so much, I mean, in that room, things go so fast and so slow. And I mean, it's just, oh God, like
it's a whirlwind. I always say it's like the rest of the world just disappears.
Oh, completely. And you wonder how. I remember looking out the window. I remember looking out the window, and it was so snowy and so cold. And I remember looking out the window and saying for a second, which sounds so silly now, but I was like, but how could it just be snowing? How can it be? How can something be in motion? How can the clouds still be working? Like, do you guys know what just happened? I yanked a child out of me, and then she latched my breast. And I was just like in a Calvin Klein sports bra from TJ Maxx. Like, it was just a regular day otherwise. So then I remember genuinely being like, how is there still weather?
Right.
Like which sounds outrageous and like I'm on psychedelics or something. But it's like, it is that experience of just like, but how can they like, and I remember when they put me in the wheelchair to go to like the permanent room, because you're in like the delivery room and then there's another room. I just remember being like, but I don't want to leave this room. This is our room. And they were like, please leave. Like, what are you talking about? Because it's just such an emotional roller coaster.
It is.
And then you're still in that patient relationship. And I found that to be so strange.
Yes.
Because they're just like, hey, you hungry? I was like, huh?
Yes.
Hey, you thirsty? Oh, we got to take your blood. Oh, we got to do this. Oh, we got to check the hearing. I got to do this. And you're just like, but wait, there's just, Like these people are just doing their job. And you're like, no, wait. The whole world just happened.
Yes. You don't understand. Yes.
Did you see this? Have you ever seen one of these? And they're like, yeah, it's a 6-pound baby girl. We actually see 12 a day.
Yes.
Like,
yes. And then you have women that have to go back to work at 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 weeks. And they're expected to just sort of be exactly the way they were before.
And you're
they
just
work.
not.
And it's just sort of like, she had a baby
How could you
6 weeks
possibly
ago.
be?
She's not even, she's still bleeding.
Right, literally. How could you? I mean,
it's like, I hear stories of people pumping in awful places and just doing
and you want to be the same person sometimes. Like I'm probably guilty of this, but I know like friends who are currently pregnant that are like, oh, I won't change my job. I'm going to just get a nanny. Oh, I won't change this. I won't change that. And I thought being sort of in entertainment and in a creative career, and I have to be such a self-starter and I have to be getting out there and doing the auditions and doing things. I thought I would be like, wow, I really miss that. I'm heading back to that. And of course I'm right back to working. You know, my daughter just turned 2 and I'm right back to working as I was, whatever. But it occurs in such a different way. Like, it's like now you can completely see why, if mothers are able, they leave their career, or if they're, because it's like, well, why wouldn't you? If you could, financially and emotionally support your family in that way, like, see you later.
Yes.
Because it would be, and so many people, of course, can't.
No, they can't. And that leads to the healthcare problem type of stuff.
Oh my God.
Because it's like the whole picture, the whole cycle of it is broken. And that's part of it, especially here in New York City. It's like, a mother that has to go back to work with a 6-week baby at home, whoever is caring for that baby, it's still not normal.
Right.
Even if it's your own mother.
Right. 100%.
Like, I know you're
not meant to feel, you're not meant to feel great about that. You're not meant to be like
it's not
I actually
normal.
feel awesome. Totally.
It's really not.
Right.
And like science tells us that it takes the body 2 years to heal postpartum from birth and delivery. And yet you're at work for 6 weeks and you're supposed to perform and not have any sort of mental or hormonal. And science also tells us that there is a part of a mother's brain after she becomes a mother. There's a part of her brain that grows. And there's a saying like, once you become a mother, there's always a piece of you outside.
Oh, yeah.
Like that you can just always, no matter where that person or people, those babies are, or however old they get, there's just always this piece of you. And it's literally has to do with our very primal animalistic, this part of our brain that grows, and it has to do with security and protecting our babies.
Sure.
And like and then what our like government and our the machine wants us to do is separate us.
Right. 100%. Like, how can you 100%?
And in that baby's mind, they're so primal. They're like, why is my mother leaving me with strangers? And why am I not?
They just want it right. 100%. 100%.
Yeah. There's a lot of very
I
primal stuff that just gets like,
it's so true.
Yeah.
I remember I wanted so badly to be like, I think I was like trying to prove to myself that I could like still do whatever.
Yes,
and I remember I did a stand-up show. This is dumb in hindsight. I knew the second I did it, I was like, this is so dumb. My mom was with me. And Marty, it was like evening. I was gone 2 hours. It was like not a big deal. It was totally, if it went great, cool, it would have been fine. Like, I'm not trying to judge myself. But I remember my mom was in town and I went and did a stand-up show. And I was like, we'll just go together. Marty will be with the baby. Like, I'll be fine. I was 4 weeks postpartum. I checked the baby camera on stage. and like wanted to cry in the middle of my set. And I told myself like, I don't ever care to do comedy or do stand up again. Because I was like, I hate this. I don't know.
Right.
And I'm the one, no one made me go. Like I easily could have been like, hey, by the way, I know I booked this when I was 32 weeks pregnant or whatever, but not super interested, not able, whatever.
Right.
But no, I was like, I'm fine. I'm so strong.
Yes.
No, bitch, go home. You're annoying. Go sit with your baby. I was literally like, I was like, oh, hold on. This just beeped. Sorry. People were probably watching like, this is unhinged. Like, they're like, this woman is clearly mentally ill because
somebody called 911.
No, someone send her baby. Like, and I just remember I like got in a cab like with my mom sweating, and I just like wanted to get, and the baby was like with her father. Like it was completely fine, but I was not completely fine to then just click back into like this thing I'm supposed to be.
Yes.
And I was just like, no, thank you.
Yes.
No,
and
thank
there's
you.
also something, I mean, there's so much that's not spoken about, but I think it's extremely important that, you know, males and females have extremely different hormones.
Oh,
and so it's literally impossible for us to feel the same thing.
100%.
And after we become mothers, we can go to some very dark places and scary
Ain't that
places.
the truth? Ain't that
and
the
you
truth?
say it to your partner, and he's like, you're effing crazy.
Right.
And you're like, and then you start thinking, I'm effing crazy.
So then you start hiding it.
Correct.
Or then you don't say it. Or then it all gets bottled up.
And then
eventually,
you're, for me, I started talking to my sisters, and they were like, my fear is, like, I was like, I have this really ridiculous fear, and it worries me sometimes. Like, some of them are like, ridiculous. You know? And my sisters, every woman I talked to was like, mine is this, mine is that.
And then you go,
like,
we should just say this out loud. Perfect.
To everybody. Why don't all women?
I started telling everybody.
You know, because every time I say to my husband, like, he's looking at me like, I need to put food in everybody's mouths and roofs over our heads.
It's a different thing.
And
Right.
I'm like,
or the logic. They still have, like, my husband is so good. You know, Marty, he's the best. And his brain stayed pretty logical. He was like, she's asleep. It's great. We win. And I was like, unless she's not breathing. So, you know, like it was like, and he'd be like, well, why wouldn't she? He would be trying to be helpful. And he'd just be like, well, but why wouldn't she be breathing? And I was like, well, I don't know. Because maybe somebody came in and put a pillow over her head. How do you know that the doorman didn't come up and come into the apartment? Like,
it blows their minds.
Oh, completely.
Like, mothers, literally, we are like, but is the belly moving? And dads are like looking at it. I cannot tell you how many dads will they'll say to me, like, I'll walk in the house and they're like, is it common? You know, they try to find the right way to say, like, do babies just stop breathing? Like, how common is it? Because every mother seems to really seriously worry that their baby has just stopped breathing. But like,
completely.
I don't know.
And I feel like that's like the lightest
and when they say
of
it,
the
I'm
thoughts.
like,
I feel like that's the lightest of the thoughts that I had.
They don't just stop breathing.
Right. You're like, it's actually, they're actually fine. They're actually likely fine.
They're completely fine. It's just the mothers
and it's the realest thing.
You know?
Oh my
and
God.
Like, is there anything we can do to change this? I'm like, no, you just have to deal with it. She's just gonna, for the rest of her life, no matter how old that child is. My daughter is 29 years old.
And
if
you're
I see
like,
her sleeping, I have to make sure she's actually breathing. My son is 22. If I see him sleeping, I have to make sure he's breathing. Yes. I'm not, if you're sleeping in front of me, Theresa, I'm gonna
it's just right. It's just part of it. And like, I feel like that was the lightest of thoughts.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I remember we lived, when my daughter was born, we lived on that highway. Like, we were right on the FDR.
Yes.
And I remember sitting with my mom and my husband just like eating pizza one night. And I looked down and I started having like a light panic attack. And I was like, oh, someone's going to put the baby on the highway. And I remember literally speaking this out to both of them and being like, no. And like them being like, no, but like, how would she get there? And I'm like, she's going to be in the nip-nap. She'll be in the carrier.
Right.
Sitting down there, and someone's going to put her on the we have to move. Right. And I have the most visceral memory of this because it was so real to me. And Marty was like, who's going to put her there? How would she get there? Don't you think we would see the person carrying her out of the house and be like, hey, don't take my baby and put her on the highway? And I was like, well, I hope we catch it.
Right.
Who's to know?
How do we?
Like, how we can laugh now, but it was so real.
It's very real.
And then I couldn't get past it. And I was like up all night, like picturing her sitting in her nip nap, 8 pounds, like sitting on the highway, just sitting on FDR.
Yeah. I know.
You think somebody would stop and get her?
I mean, I do think somebody would stop to get her, but mine was, I don't even drive.
Yeah.
And I would picture us in the car with Ryan as a very small baby in the car seat in the back of the car. We're on the BQE or the Gowanus Expressway, which is the elevated highway. We get into an accident, and the entire car seat with the baby in it not only ejects out of the car, but off of the highway.
Yeah, right.
So the baby's in the car seat below us,
Logical.
and we're in the car above. Very logical. And
yeah.
I mean,
And you don't even drive.
on wood,
And you don't even drive.
I don't drive, and I've never been in a car accident. Knock on wood. You know, so like.
Literally.
You tell me where that came
You're like,
from.
literally.
I never even heard of that like, God forbid.
But isn't
not
it
like I
so
heard a
important to
story
like
or
have
I
that
saw
right?
something.
You're not like that
It's
happened to my friend,
literally
and now it's real.
completely-
Like no, it's literally fabricated, and like it's just so interesting how the mind can
And
play
it's
so many tricks.
intricate.
And like, oh, it's so intricate and it's so
Like, yeah.
detailed that you're like, is this instincts?
That-
Is this my instinct
them
telling me what's going to
questioning you,
happen?
like,
yeah.
yeah, question me.
Wow.
Right?
Isn't it crazy?
It is.
And it's so important to speak these things out. And I'm so excited that we're having this conversation.
Me too.
And that people are going to be able to just listen to this
Me
because
too.
hopefully it's somebody holding that little baby in the night, crying because the nights are so scary and so dark and you're so alone and you think the night is never going to end and you're never going to be able to raise this thing. And all of your choices are flashing before you. I hope they listen to this and just go, oh, okay. Oh, no, it
Okay.
gets a lot better.
It
like,
really
I have
does.
a 2-year-old now and I'm like, bye, we're going to dinner, have fun.
Yeah,
like,
yes.
you know, and it's, to be a mother is the most amazing thing, and it's also, I think, the hardest thing.
Yes.
And what would you say to someone that wants to become a doula?
Well, if anybody that says they want to become a doula, I encourage them to look into it because it's not common.
Right.
You know, and so I'm going to, if they're really serious, I'll do anything I can to try and, you know, give them and get them the information that they need and encourage that and help them sign up for, you know, but
Classes
like,
and, like,
yeah,
is
for the
there-
classes,
yeah,
and that should be-
education.
and it's very, you know, like it's exciting to me to think that we'd have more doulas.
Right.
You know,
It's a welcoming community.
It is, and it's not like something that everybody wakes up and is like, I want to be a doula, you know.
Sure.
So when I hear somebody say it, I'm like, oh my God, you need to
Like
pursue
there's
that. Look
something
into
in them. There's
Right,
that
look
fire,
into
that vocation to say, like, this is what you need to do.
Yes, you know.
That's amazing.
And I think it's one of the things I'm most grateful for in my life. Obviously, I have children and grandchildren.
Of course.
My family
It goes-
is-
yeah, it
you
goes
know, that
without saying.
without saying. But it's just.
But in that professional
it is never
lane.
lost on me what a big deal it is to be welcomed into such a personal, private, like space. Whether it's your birth or your postpartum experience, it's just I know, like, I've been doing this about 16 years. I've helped over 300 families.
Wow.
And so I'm at this place where, like, I know that the second you decide I'm your doula, there is a trust.
Sure.
That, like, you have with your husband.
Yeah.
That you have with, like, your
right.
mom.
Yeah. You're
But you
saying,
don't know
You're
that.
saying, I want this person to be the truth.
But you don't really know
You
that.
don't, right. You just
But
think
I
like,
do.
right. Yeah. I hear you.
So-
You know the
and
other
there's
side of it.
other
Totally.
things
Totally.
that I know, but I can't really say that either.
Right,
Like,
right.
it's like if a mom says, like, why would I need a postpartum doula?
Sure.
And, you know, like, it's not like, well, I'm really helping you find your courage.
Yeah.
Like, they'll be like, fuck.
Yeah. Right. No, you can swear all you want. You're like, fuck out of here. What
you.
courage?
Yeah, like, what are you talking about? Like,
Not really looking for my
they're
courage. I'm trying to get the baby to
I'm
sleep.
Like, a New
Like,
Yorker
they
that
don't-
doesn't
right,
stop.
right. Totally.
You know, so you can't be like, you know, to this, like, 9 months
Right.
pregnant mom, like, well, I'm just going to help you, you know,
Right,
be confident.
right.
I'm helping you find your confidence. They're like,
Yep.
go fuck yourself, Kat.
Right. They're like,
You know,
okay, crazy
literally,
lady. Like, yeah,
right.
you're like, I'm just
So
looking
it's
for
like,
somebody
no,
to
I'm
feed my
just
baby. Yeah.
helping you know normal, not normal.
I love it.
I
love
try
it.
to keep it very basic when I speak to moms. And when I speak to people that want to be doulas, you know, I tell them, hold on.
Yeah.
It's a wild ride.
For
It's
sure,
a crazy
for
life.
sure.
It's, you know, it can make us seem a little bit flaky and crunchy.
Of course, yeah.
You know, there's
But you know
truth
what?
to
What's
that.
wrong with being crunchy?
There's truth to it. I'll take it. You know, again, I just turned 47 a few weeks ago. I'm like, I know who I am.
You look 23.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Whenever
Thank
you're
you.
like, I have grown children, I'm like, but what? Oh, that's right. I forgot. I forgot. Because you have a young
That's
soul
sweet.
and you have
Thank
a
you.
connected spirit. And I think that's what shines through first.
And I think that that's probably why I'm in this field,
And why you're so good at what you do. You're meant. It's meant for you.
I don't
It
like to
found
say
you.
it like that, but
no,
it
but
did.
it's meant. It is. It's the. it's the simplest way to put it. I think that doulas can help the person manifest what they're looking for. I remember
agree.
on that questionnaire that we talked about,
Yes.
you guys said, if you could have anything in the world, what's your dream birth? What would happen? And I remember I just said, I want it to be joyful. And then I remember, I'm going to literally start crying. And then I remember giving birth was joyful. Like that you guys helped me manifest the exact birth I wanted. And whenever people, I feel like in society in general, we look at birth and any women's issue, but we look at birth as, oh my God, I'm ruined. I was cracked in half.
Yes.
Birth,
Yes.
it's so hard. It's so and it's like, what if we change the conversation and what if we start to manifest these births as what we want them to be? Yes. And maybe that means you want your birth organized. Yes. Maybe it means you want it to be really fun. Maybe it means you want it to be quiet. I wanted mine to be joyful and you guys offered me that. And that's exactly, even hearing how you describe my birth, like that's what we got.
Yes.
That's exactly what we got.
Yes. And it's literally the word I've used from the day, she was born.
I love it.
It's just
I can't believe
I'm
it.
like, that was, it's just.
It's a wild ride, that's for sure.
It is.
We will wrap up
really
soon. We're going to do
ride.
Kat's ick and her love.
Okay.
So what is your ick?
Okay, this is funny. And the reason I chose this ick is because
I can't wait to hear it.
It's because I'm a doula and I don't really have many icks. There's literally nothing off limits. I get photos of things that people are would be like, what the F is that? What? I see, I smell, I hear a lot, but I have this thing with boogers.
Oh, you can't do it.
Yeah.
Baby boogers.
Baby boogers are not so bad.
Okay, adult boogers.
Adult boogers.
So if you're see somebody on the train and they have a booger, you have to move your seat.
Yeah.
You can't function. All right.
Yeah.
I like it.
It could immediately start a gag reflex in me, and there's nothing
Which
in the world.
Which is so funny because you're literally catching humans, and you're
I see,
you're like, oh,
I
super
smell,
into that.
I'm a New Yorker, but there's just.
But this guy really needs to sneeze.
And he's gonna make me puke.
Oh my God, I love it. Okay,
Yes.
what's your love?
Okay. Well, I mean, it's probably so basic and probably going to be common here in this city, but New York.
Yes.
It's
the best place. You're born and raised in New York.
Yes, I am born and raised in New York. And there's so many. I always come from a place of love. I think with everything I do, I try to come from a place of love.
Of course. How
and
could
I'm
you
just
not?
all about love, everything,
I love it.
So that when I was like, oh my God.
It's gotta be your home.
You know what though?
New
I
York.
was like, it's the city.
Yeah.
I am. Every single day I'm impressed and just overwhelmed and wow, amazed by New York City.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
too.
That's such a good one. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my God, thank you
I
so much.
appreciate you so much.
I love you
I appreciate you so much.
Please, oh my God, give the baby and
I
kisses and
will.
hugs
Oh, I
for
certainly
me.
will.
We have to
I will.
have a real
Definitely.
hangout,
100%.
when we're not being recorded.
100%.
But I'm not going to be recorded.
Oh my God, for sure.
because
Thank you so much for being here.
there's so much. No, seriously.
Everyone,
thank you.
Kat Raynor.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us this week. And remember, it's all a little bit exaggerated.
This has been Exaggerated. Thanks for sticking around till the end. Follow me on social media @TimoLynn. That's TMOLYNN. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Oh, and join the conversation by emailing me at exaggeratedpod@gmail.com. Until next time, don't forget, it's all a bit exaggerated.